Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to take complex topics and, well, make them make sense for your real-world work. Today, we're diving into something really foundational if you're in IT or heading that way, ITIL-4 management practices. Our source material is Module 4 from a graduate course, Service Management Dimensions, and Governance. So, pretty academic stuff. But our goal here is to translate that into practical knowledge. Especially for you, maybe you're an IS grad student thinking about roles in service management, governance, enterprise IT. This is the stuff you'll actually use.
Exactly. Forget just memorizing terms for an exam. We want to get into the why. Why did ITIL evolve like this? And more importantly, how does this new approach help you deliver actual, tangible value out there? Because these practices, they're not just theory. They are literally the tools you'll be using, whether you land on a service desk, become an IT business analyst, or you're the sysadmin keeping everything running.
Okay, let's open that toolbox then. A lot of us might know the term processes, right? Especially from older ITIL, like V3. But ITIL-4 talks about practices. It sounds broader. Can you kind of break down what an ITIL-4 management practice really is?
Yeah, let's cut through the jargon. At its core, think capability. A practice is basically a set of organizational resources designed for performing work or accomplishing an objective. The key word there is resources. It's not just the steps in a process anymore. It's the people, their skills, the technology, the partners, the information. Everything you need bundled together to actually get something done effectively.
So it's way more than just a flowchart. It's the whole engine, not just the instruction manual.
Precisely. Think about something familiar, like incident management.
Okay.
In the old ITIL v3 world, it was mostly a process, right? Log it, categorize it, fix it, close it. Sort of linear.
Yeah, standard procedure.
But ITIL-4 calls incident management a practice. Now, it still includes that process. Those steps are important. But it also explicitly includes, say, the skills of your service desk team, the actual incident management software tool, the knowledge base they use for troubleshooting, how you communicate updates, and even how you learn from incidents to get better. It's all those pieces working together. That's the practice. It's about building that whole capability.
That makes a huge difference. For anyone stepping into IT leadership, it means you're not just ticking boxes on a process list. You're orchestrating all these resources.
Exactly. You're building and leveraging capabilities, which is, frankly, what businesses actually need and expect from IS grads today.
So this change from process to practice, it wasn't just like a cosmetic update. There must have been some big reasons behind it. Why did ITIL make this shift?
Oh, definitely not just semantics. There were some really compelling drivers. First off, flexibility. The old process focus, while structured, often felt too rigid,
But one size fits all.
Kind of. Different organizations have vastly different needs, different environments, different speeds. ITIL-4's practice approach gives you the wiggle room to tailor things, combine capabilities in ways that make sense for your specific context. So for you going into different companies, you're equipped with an adaptable framework, not just a rigid playbook someone else wrote. Much more powerful.
That makes sense. What else?
Second big thing, integrating modern ways of working. I mean, think about how much changed between ITIL v3 in 2011 and now. Agile, DevOps, Lean, Cloud, everywhere.
Right, the whole landscape shifted.
Completely. The old process model just didn't mesh well with these faster, more iterative approaches. ITIL-4's practice model, though, it's much more compatible. Like, the deployment management practice can now easily embrace things like continuous deployment pipelines from DevOps. That just didn't fit neatly into the old structure. So ITIL-4 had to adapt to stay relevant, to speak the language of modern IT operations.
Okay, so flexibility in aligning with modern methods like DevOps. Got it. Was there a third major factor?
Yes, a really crucial one. A much stronger focus on value and co-creation. ITIL-4 hammers this home. Value isn't just created by the IT department and thrown over the wall. It's co-created through active collaboration between the service provider and the consumer, the business, the users. The old process view could sometimes lead to IT focusing inward just on executing its steps efficiently.
Right. Hitting the internal metrics, but maybe not the business outcome.
Exactly. Practices, however, live within this bigger picture called the Service Value System, the SVS. And that system constantly asks, what's the outcome? What's the value? What are the costs and risks involved? We call it VOCR. So each practice is viewed through that lens. How does it contribute to valuable outcomes? This ties directly back to what employers want from you. Not just tech skills, but understanding how IT drives business value.
Moving IT from a cost center perception to a value driver.
Precisely. And one last point, fostering holistic improvement. In V3, improvement could sometimes feel like a separate stage or process. ITIL-4 makes continual improvement itself a core practice. It encourages breaking down silos and embeds that improvement mindset into every practice. You're not just doing incident management, you're continually improving incident management. It's built in, not bolted on.
Okay, so summing that up, ITIL-4 practices mean more flexibility, better integration with modern IT like DevOps, a laser focus on co-creating value, and embedding continual improvement everywhere. It's about building capabilities that adapt and deliver.
You got it. That's the core idea. And to make this practical, ITIL-4 lays out 34 specific management practices. They're organized into 3 categories, kind of like different sections of your toolkit.
34, okay. Can you walk us through those categories? Maybe highlight a couple from each that would really jump out to someone aiming for, say, an IT business analyst role or maybe a system administrator job.
Absolutely. Let's break it down. First up, general management practices. There are 14 of these. They're pretty broad, often adapted from general business management for the IT context.
Wow.
Think about workforce and talent management. That's not just HR. It's about ensuring your IT team has the right skills, the right development. That's critical for your career path, right? You're part of that talent equation.
Definitely.
Then there's continual improvement, like we just talked about. It's fundamental. And project management, essential for anyone involved in implementing changes or new services, which covers a lot of IT roles. Understanding these gives you that broader business perspective.
Okay, general business adapted for IT. What's the next category?
Next are the service management practices. 17 of these. These are probably the most familiar if you've encountered ITIL before, but again, viewed as practices. We've got incident management for getting things back online quickly, and change enablement, absolutely vital. This is about managing changes to minimize disruption. If you're a system admin deploying code or configuring servers, this practice is your bread and butter for doing it safely.
Right, preventing those nightmare deployment scenarios.
Exactly. And then there's business analysis. This is key for an IT business analyst role, obviously. It's about understanding what the business actually needs and making sure IT delivers solutions that meet those needs, bridging that gap.
Makes sense. And the third category?
Finally, technical management practices. Only 3 here, but they're crucial. They deal directly with the technology itself. You've got deployment management, which is the nuts and bolts of moving changes into the live environment. Think DevOps pipelines, automation, really important for sysadmins or anyone in operations or release management. And infrastructure and platform management, overseeing the servers, the network, the cloud platforms, all the plumbing that makes everything else work. So ITIL definitely gets down to the tech layer too.
It's interesting how many familiar concepts are there, but that framing as a practice seems to tie everything together. The process, the people, the tools. It feels much more complete.
That's exactly the idea. It's a comprehensive toolkit for managing the whole service lifecycle end to end.
But these 34 practices, they don't just exist on their own, right? They must work together somehow to actually deliver value. How does ITIL-4 picture that interaction?
Great question. That's where the service value chain, or SVC, comes in. It's kind of the engine at the heart of ITIL-4's operating model. It outlines 6 key activities: plan, improve, engage, design and transition, obtain, build, and deliver and support. Think of these as the core activities any service provider performs to turn demand into actual value.
Okay, like stages.
Sort of, but crucially, it's not rigidly linear like the old life cycle phases sometimes felt. The SVC is flexible. You might loop back. Activities might happen in parallel. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. It's a flow, not a strict sequence.
The practices fit into these activities.
Exactly. Each practice supports one or more SVC activities. For instance, when you plan, you're definitely using practices like strategy management and risk management. When you engage with customers or suppliers, you're using relationship management, supplier management, service level management. Design and transition pulls in service design, change enablement, release management. Obtain build uses software development and infrastructure management practices. And deliver and support, that's where your day-to-day operational practices like incident management, problem management, service request management, and the service desk really come into play. And improve is constantly happening, fueled by continual improvement, knowledge management, measurement, and reporting. It's all interconnected.
Okay, let's try to make this concrete. Imagine you're a fresh IS grad, you walk into a new job at, let's say, Midwest Bank, and oops, they just had a massive online banking meltdown. Rush software update, total chaos in responding. How could applying these ITIL-4 practices help them dig out and prevent it next time?
The Midwest Bank scenario. Classic, unfortunately, but a perfect example of where ITIL-4 thinking makes a real difference. This is where your knowledge becomes immediately valuable. So, first thing, that rush deployment. That screams for change enablement. Instead of just pushing code, you'd implement proper risk assessment, maybe peer reviews, definitely better testing, formal approvals for significant changes.
So if you were the sysadmin involved.
Right, you'd be part of that process, ensuring the change is understood, tested, and safe before it goes live. It's about preventing the outage in the first place. That's a huge value add.
Okay, what about the chaotic response?
That's incident management. The chaos gets replaced with structure. You need robust logging so you know what's happening, trained teams ready to act, maybe 247 for critical services like online banking, clear steps for who does what, escalation, and proactive communication to customers and internal stakeholders.
So a service desk lead would be orchestrating that.
Exactly. Moving from frantic firefighting to a coordinated practice recovery effort, minimizing that customer pain.
But fixing it isn't enough, right? You need to stop it happening again.
Absolutely, and that's problem management. Once the immediate fire is out, incident resolved, problem management digs for the root cause. Was it faulty code? A weak testing process? A configuration error? You find that underlying cause and you eliminate it. Maybe it requires a code fix, a process change, better monitoring. This is where, say, an IT business analyst or a senior tech might really investigate to find that permanent solution.
Okay. Change enablement for prevention, incident management for recovery, problem management for root cause elimination. Anything else?
Yes, the umbrella over all of this. Continual improvement. The bank needs to learn from this failure. Maybe they implement a change advisory board, CAB, for high-risk changes like that banking update. Maybe they invest in automated testing tools. Maybe they improve their monitoring. Formalizing that learning loop is key. And that's the mindset employers desperately want: people who don't just fix things, but constantly look for ways to make things better, safer, faster. Proactive improvement.
And when all these practices work together across that service value chain,
That's when you get true value co-creation. The bank delivers reliable online banking, value for them and their reputation, and customers get consistent, easy access to their money, value for them. It's that integrated, holistic approach, thinking about the whole system, that really elevates IT.
wow, okay, that really brings it to life. So, wrapping up this deep dive, we've really unpacked how ITIL-4's management practices are a major evolution, moving away from rigid processes.
Towards a much more flexible, integrated, and seriously value-focused approach.
We looked at why that shift happened, adapting to modern IT, focusing on value, embedding improvement. We explored the toolkit, those general service and technical practice categories.
Highlighting ones really relevant for roles you might be heading into.
And crucially, we saw how they connect through the service value chain to deliver results in real situations, like that Midwest Bank example.
Exactly. And for you, listening in, especially if you're finishing up your degree and looking ahead, this isn't about passing a cert exam. It's about understanding how to wield this framework in the real world. It's about being able to see a problem or an opportunity and know which practices to apply, how to combine them, how to adapt them, and always asking, how does this improve things and deliver value? That's what employers are looking for.
So it really equips you for those complex roles in enterprise IT.
It really does. So maybe here's something to think about as we close. As you look towards your next role, or even in projects you're working on now, where could you apply just one of these practices? Not just to fix an issue, but to proactively improve how value is created or delivered, whether it's strengthening change enablement on a team project, or thinking about incident response for a system you manage, or finding the root cause of a recurring problem. What's the first step you could take to apply this holistic thinking and truly co-create value? Something to definitely mull over.